Hi guys, how are you? This is me, your friend Samayasar Jain. Well, today's topic is about all those countries where I have visited so far, and those countries where I have lived and where I was brought up. So coming directly into the point, apart from India, what are the countries I have traveled to so far? So far I have traveled to four countries, which are Indonesia, Singapore, Malaysia and Thailand. I repeat, Indonesia, Singapore, Thailand and Malaysia. Now among these four, which is my most favorite one? Just speaking overall, not like see, if I take different factors, for each factor I can say for each factor, each of the countries are my favorite ones. But if I just just giving a very overall background, just speaking overall, out of these four, which is my most favorite one? And to be honest with you, my most favorite one is Singapore. Yes, you heard me right. Singapore is my most favorite one among these four. Now, just to compare, just to do a normal comparison between the people, the food, the culture, the law and safety, and even the what do you say that regarding infrastructure, gender equality, and all these factors. So overall, if I take, Singapore is my most favorite one out of these four. Okay. So now first let's compare the people between these four countries, and after that I will do the comparison of these countries with my country, which is India. So when you compare the people, see, the people of Singapore, Malaysia, Indonesia and Thailand, all of them are very friendly. But still, if I have to choose any one of them, I will say the most so far the most friendliest people I feel out of these four countries are in Thailand. Yes, you heard me right. Thai people are very friendly and very nice. And another good thing is that, see, out of these four countries, Indonesia, Singapore, Malaysia, and Thailand, for Indonesia and Thailand, we as Indians, for Indian passport holders, we no need to have a visa before going to these countries, because for Indonesia and Thailand, we Indian passport holders, we get visa on arrival. Yes, you heard me right, visa on arrival, which means we have to directly, we can just book the tickets and take the flight and go to these countries, and when we land there in these countries, we can directly pay in the immigration checkpoint. I mean, it will be there will be some amount of fees. So and that fees, it will change every year. One more thing, guys, always remember this. The cost, the fee for the visa on arrival in Indonesia and Thailand, in all those countries where we get visa on arrival. So basically every year the cost of this fees, the cost of the visa on arrival will keep changing every year. So me personally, when I used to travel to Indonesia from Singapore, the cost of the visa on arrival was, it was 500,000 Indonesian rupiah. Okay, 500,000 Indonesian rupiah, which is equals to 2,500 Indian rupees. And when I went to Thailand, I went to Bangkok. So in Bangkok, when I went, the visa on arrival in that Suvarnabhumi International Airport of Bangkok in Thailand. That time, see, because I went to Bangkok in 2018. In the year of 2018, I visited Thailand in Bangkok, and that time the cost of the visa on arrival was 2000 baht. Yes, guys, the currency of Thailand is baht. So 2000 baht, and 1 baht is equals to 2 Indian rupees. So 2000 baht means around 4000 Indian rupees. So in the year 2018, when I visited Bangkok, when I visited Thailand, that time the cost of the visa on arrival was around 4000 Indian rupees, which is 2000 baht. And yes guys, there you should pay the visa, there you should pay the fees of the visa on arrival only in the currency of that country. In Thailand, you should pay in Thai baht. For paying the visa on arrival, they will not accept any other currency, not even the US dollars. You need to pay in Thai baht. For Indonesia, you can pay visa on arrival in Indonesian rupiah, and I think they also allow, to pay in US dollars. So, but if you want to pay in Indonesian rupiah, it will be, those times when I used to visit Indonesia, that time it would be 500,000 Indonesian rupiah, which is equals to 2,500 Indian rupees. Now, so all these are done. So comparing the people, see, as I told you, the people, the most out of these four countries, the friendliest people, as I told you, I feel is the Thai people, the people of Thailand. So all the people of all these four countries are very nice and friendly. But just to give you, still, some people say just choose one. So if you ask me, then honestly for me, I will say it is Thailand. But overall country, my most favorite one is Singapore. And now, so what do I like about Indonesia, Singapore, Thailand, and Malaysia? So now comparing the people, I told Thailand. Now when it comes to food, which country's food do I like the most out of these four countries? Well, if you compare all these four countries, I will say I like the food in Indonesia. Indonesian food is actually quite nice. Even Indonesia has got lot of vegetarian food. Indonesia also has vegan food. And yes, one more thing is that Indonesia so far does not have much vegetarian restaurants. But I think there is one new veg restaurant coming up in Indonesia. It is somewhere in Grand Sarina, that area in Jakarta. But however, overall food is very delicious in Indonesia, and of course even for vegetarians and even for vegans, Indonesia has got lot of delicious and tasty vegetarian and vegan food. So when you compare the food, I like in these four countries, I like the most Indonesian food. And when you talk about safety and law and safety, once again the best is Singapore. Singapore has one of the lowest crime rates in the entire world. Even at night, even at midnight, let's say 2 a.m., 3 a.m., or 3:30 a.m., you can walk alone on the road. And you can even a girl can walk alone on the road, and nothing will happen to her. It is completely secure and completely safe. And the Singapore police, they are amazing. They are the Singapore police forces is one of the best police forces in the entire world. Not the best, but one of the best. They are well equipped with the most modern technology, with the latest weapons, and with all the latest technologies, and all the tools and etc. So Singapore police, they are very efficient, very effective. Also in Singapore, the police they are completely non-corrupt. In Singapore, don't ever try to bribe the police. Okay, I'm telling you, you should not bribe the police in any country, but especially in Singapore, you should never. See, because in Malaysia, Indonesia, and Thailand, even some police officers, they do accept bribes. Yes, you heard me right. In Malaysia, Singapore, not Singapore. In Malaysia, Indonesia, and this one, what do you say? In Malaysia, Indonesia, and Thailand. Yes, in these three countries, unlike many countries in the world, many police officers, they do accept bribes. But in Singapore, not a single police will ever accept bribe. If you try to bribe the Singapore police, on the spot they will handcuff you and arrest you and take you to jail. Okay, so please never try to bribe the Singapore police. And one more thing, guys, do not bribe Do not bribe any police in the world. Okay, be honest, respect the law, and be a good citizen, and when you travel to foreign countries, be a good foreigner and respect the law of the land. Okay, always respect the law of the land. Now, speaking about infrastructure, even when it comes to infrastructure, I mean, Singapore has got the best infrastructure as compared to all the other three countries. See, all these four countries where I've visited, Indonesia, Singapore, Malaysia, and Thailand, all these four countries are well highly advanced and more developed than India. Yes, guys, all these four countries are more developed than India. But there are some factors where I do like India also more than these countries. But overall, all these four countries are more developed than India. So now, see, when it comes to these four countries, as I told you, only when it comes to only when it comes to, sorry guys, my hair. Only when it comes to law and safety and food, etc. And I could just say that okay, Singapore is my favorite country, and I like the Indonesian food the most. But overall, in these four countries, all the other factors like culture, food, sorry, not food, culture, people, and safety, gender equality, all these things, there is not much to compare. And even the people actually, the people in all these four countries are very nice. Just because in case I have to choose one, so I chose Thailand. That's it. Because I mean, there are certain reasons for that. But yeah, out of these four, if I have to choose one, I would choose Thailand. As I would choose Thailand for having the most nice people as compared to all the other three. But overall, the people of all these four countries are very, very nice, loving, and they're very welcoming to the foreigners. They respect foreigners, and they respect foreigners' cultures as well. Now, okay, now when you compare the standard of living, the standard of living in all these four countries are definitely way more higher than India. That's why I told you, right? See, all these four countries, they are more developed than India, and therefore the standard of living in these four countries are much higher than India. And now when it comes to the cost of living, see, when it comes to the cost of living, I will say that I will say that Indonesia's cost of living is slightly lower than the cost of living in India. I can say India is more expensive than Indonesia. But compared to Malaysia, Thailand, and Singapore, especially when you compare these three countries, these three countries are more expensive and what do you say? More costlier than India. Even not only the standard of living, but even the cost of living is higher than India in Singapore, Thailand, and Malaysia. But in Indonesia, the standard of living is higher than India, but their cost of living is slightly cheaper as compared to India. Because see, in Indonesia the currency is rupiah. In India the currency is rupees. In Indonesia the currency is called Indonesian rupiah. So when you compare the rupiah, see, 1 Indian rupees is equals to 200 Indonesian rupiah. You heard me right, guys. See, 1 Indian rupees is equals to 200 Indonesian rupiah. So when you talk about currency, when you talk about the strength of the country's currency, our Indian rupees, the Indian currency is way more stronger than the Indonesian currency. You heard me right, guys. Our Indian currency is way more stronger than the Indonesian currency. But when you compare the currency to to that of Singapore, Thailand, and Malaysia, Then these three currencies. In Malaysia the currency is called ringgits, Malaysian ringgits. In Singapore, as you all know, it is Singapore dollars. And in Thailand, as I just told you, it is Thai baht. So one Thai baht is equals to 2 Indian rupees, and one Malaysian ringgit is, I think, around 14 or 15 rupees. And one Singapore dollar, as per today, okay, as per 2023, one Singapore dollar is equals to 60 rupees, 60, sat, 60. One Singapore dollar is equals to 60 Indian rupees. So only Indonesia's currency is, weaker than Indian currency. But all these other three currencies, baht, Singapore dollars, and Malaysian ringgits, all these three currencies are more stronger than Indian currency. Now, what else can I say? Now, if I have to compare, the, what do you say, job opportunities. When you talk about job opportunities, in today's day and age, in today's generation, most countries, they will prefer, they prefer giving jobs to their own citizens. Even India, for that matter, even today in India, I mean, of course, see, we as Indians, we can get jobs easily over here, but for foreigners, compared to locals, it is a little bit difficult for them to get jobs. But whereas in when you compare these these four countries, Indonesia, Singapore, Thailand, and Malaysia, so I can tell you that job opportunities are plenty. But for foreigners, and especially for Indians, I will say, we have got, I mean, the country where we can get, where we as Indians, we can get jobs easily. When you compare these four countries, I will say the first easiest is Indonesia. In Indonesia, I mean, of course, even today, Indonesia has also, they have, made their laws more strict. Those who want to, those foreigners who want to come and work in Indonesia, they should be, they should be a master degree holder, or they should be, they should be having a PhD, etc. All these things. So basically, but yeah, compared to the other three countries, Singapore, Malaysia, and Thailand, I will say for foreigners, and especially for we Indians, we can get jobs compared to, see, I'm not saying getting job in Indonesia is easy, but compared to these three countries, compared to Malaysia, Singapore, and Thailand, for us Indians, we can get jobs little bit more easily in Indonesia. And one more thing is that, after Indonesia, I think the next second toughest is Malaysia. See, I mean, the first easiest is, sorry, not toughest, easiest. The first easiest is Indonesia, then the second easiest is in Malaysia, and then third it is Singapore, and fourth it is Thailand. See, to get a job in Thailand for Indians, and to get a job in Singapore, I mean, there are a lot of criteria to be met as compared to Malaysia and Indonesia. So basically, I will say, just to give you a brief, getting a job for foreigners to get job in Indonesia and Malaysia is little bit easy as compared to getting jobs in Singapore and Thailand for foreigners, and especially for us Indians. Now, okay guys, so when you compare the overall lifestyle, now comparing these countries to India, now like I told you, infrastructure, and infrastructure, food, people, culture, etc. Now how do these countries, how can I compare and contrast these countries with India? Well, see, Thai culture, see, Indonesian culture and the Thai culture, they have got lot of similarities with our Indian culture. Because see, in Thailand there are lot of Buddhists, and even in Indonesia, there is this place called Bali, and Bali, yes guys, one more thing guys, Bali has got a majority Hindu population. See, overall Indonesia is 90 to 95% Muslim country, but there is one place called Bali, Bali, Bali. There is one place called Bali in Indonesia, and in this place, Indonesia has got a majority Hindu population, and they practice lot of they practice lot of this Indian culture. Most of their, they have got their own traditional Indonesian culture, but even their traditional Indonesia, but even their traditional Indonesian culture has got so much similarities with our Indian culture, and same is the case with Thailand. Thailand has got a majority Buddhist population, and of course, you know, people who practice Buddhism in Thailand may differ from the people who practice Buddhism here in India. But however, see, when you talk about when you talk about what do you say, um, the national, the traditional, and the national festivals, the way of greeting, and the way people greet each other, the way people welcome each other, and even all those celebrations, etc. In Thai culture, it has got so much similarities with our Indian culture. Malaysia is also majority Muslim country, and they are they also have got Malaysia also has got lot of Hindus and Buddhists, and even there are around 2,500 Jains living in Malaysia. And but Malaysian culture, it is almost they have got their own Malay culture, Malay, Malay. Malaysia has got their own Malay culture. And when it comes to Singapore, see, Singapore basically they speak four languages. They speak Tamil, English, Chinese, and what do you say, Malay. Yeah, in Singapore they speak Malay, Chinese, English, and Tamil. These four languages are spoken in Singapore. And in Singapore, there are places where there are places where people practice lot of Indian culture, and there are places what do you say, there are places like, for example, let's say Chinatown. There is a place called Chinatown in Singapore, and in that place lot of people practice Chinese culture. But overall Singapore, it is the most modern, compared to India, and also compared to all the other three countries. Singapore is the most it is the most advanced and the most modern country, the most westernized country when it comes to food and everything. See, Singapore has got all types of food. Singapore has got Indian food. Singapore has got Indian food, Chinese food, Japanese food, Western food, Korean food, and Taiwanese food, Hong Kong food. So many, almost the special dishes. Sorry, almost the special dishes of almost all the countries exist in Singapore. And one more thing, guys. See, in Singapore, I mean every area is kept for a certain majority of people. Like, let's say there is this place called Little India and Ferrer Park. In this place, lot of Indians live there, especially people from Tamil Nadu. Though especially those people who are Tamilians, they live in this place called Little India and Ferrer Park. And there is Chinatown where lot of Chinese people live. And overall, but Singapore, other places, overall it is a very modern and a very westernized country. So in Singapore, when it comes to food, there are all types of food. So I cannot say that okay, I like this food, I like that food, because Singapore has got almost all types of food. And one more thing is that I'm sweating so much because I've just switched off the fan. It's okay. Now but now one more thing, guys. Talking about the hygienic of the food. When it comes to taste, I like the Indonesian food more than as compared to all these other four countries. But when it comes to hygiene and proper sanitization, I will say that Singapore has got the Singapore's food is very hygienic, even on the street, be it in the malls, in the restaurant, and even on the streets. Singapore Singapore's food is very clean and very hygienic and very sanitized. So, so if you want to eat street food in Singapore, you can eat every day. It is like completely safe, nothing to worry. But if you want to eat street food, or let's say like food in restaurants in like Indonesia, Malaysia, and Thailand, you can eat, but make sure that you don't do that every day, because in these countries, and even in India, every day it is not healthy to eat outside. Most of the time you should eat your home food. But yes, in Singapore, whether you eat at home or whether you eat outside the street food, all the food are very hygienic and healthy in Singapore. So far that's it. And when it comes to gender equality, see, Singapore has got like lot of women rights. In fact, women are very safe in Singapore as compared to almost all the countries in the world. So Singapore is the country where women are given lot of security and safety as compared to many other countries in the world. So even when it comes to gender equality, I will say all these countries, Indonesia, Singapore, Malaysia, and Thailand. In all these countries, because see, today, in today's day and age, the world is progressing. There is globalization taking place. All the people are connecting together, and this world is becoming a very open-minded world, which is a good thing, by the way, which is a good thing. And so is India. Even in India also, see, lot of places, lot of cities, and even in lot of towns, there is lot of women empowerment today in India, and gender equality, it is there, the gender equality is practiced quite well even today in India. But overall, if I will say, when it comes to gender equality, I will say Singapore is the best, because Singapore is one of the, or if not the safest country in the world for women. You heard me right. When it comes to safety for women, I will say Singapore is one of the safest country in the world, if not the most safest country in the world for women. It is Singapore. So apart from this safety, when it comes to job opportunities, and choosing your career, and women empowerment, all these four countries have got amazing, they've got all these four countries are doing quite well. And even today India is also doing, as I told you, even today India is also doing well. Lot of women are being empowered, and slowly the gap between male and the female is closing. It is before, in India means, you see, the gap between the male and female would be there was too much distance. But today in India, see, that gap has been narrowed, which is a good thing, by the way. See, that gap between the male and females has become quite narrow, and more males and females are interacting well with each other, and they are working well together with each other. So when it comes to gender equality, India and all these four countries, I think more or less they are the same, but still I will say among these, Singapore is the best. So that's it overall. This is what the video was about. And in what ways do I like India more than these countries? See, when you compare the India, what I like about India is that, see, here in India we have got all the 5 seasons. In Indonesia, basically they have got only summer and monsoon. In Singapore, they have got rain also, but mostly it is spring season. India is the only country in the world where all the 5 seasons come properly at the right time. So this is one point. Another point is, in India we have got a space program. See, Singapore, Indonesia, Malaysia, and Thailand, none of these countries have got a space program. India has got a space program, ISRO, Indian Space Research Organization, ISRO. We have got ISRO. And what else I can say? Yes, military. When you compare the military of India to these four countries, our Indian military is the strongest. See, our Indian army, our Indian military is the top 4th strongest in the world, after US, Russia, China. See, in the entire world, see, when you compare the global military ranking, who are the strongest. So the first strongest is US, of course, and then the second strongest is Russia, and then third is China, and fourth is our Indian military. So when it comes to military, our, our Indian army and our Indian military is way more powerful and more stronger than the militaries of Indonesia, Malaysia, Singapore and Thailand. So this is another point. And what else is another thing is that, see, India is a land of diversity. um, a couple of sorry, not a couple, 1 year ago, or more than a year ago, I had made this video about 10 reasons why I am proud to be an Indian. You can go to YouTube and you can just type that. You can type Samayasar Jain and type 10 reasons why I am very proud to be an Indian. In that I have mentioned, see, one of the great things about India is that we are a land of diversity. There is so much diversity here in India. So when you compare all these four countries, Indonesia, Singapore, Malaysia and Thailand, these four countries, they are definitely more advanced. They have got a higher standard of living. I like those countries a lot. And they have got what do you say, a better quality of life as compared to India. But however, these countries are they are not as diverse as India. See, India, each state has got its own food, own culture, own fashion, own food, and own cuisine, and own style, etc. But overall I will say, see, India is a land of diversity. So this is also another factor why I like India more than these countries. And one more thing, guys, before I end this video, see, I was born in India, but I was brought up in Indonesia and Singapore. I did my schooling in Jakarta, Indonesia, in GMIS, that is Gandhi Memorial International School. It is basically it is a IB World School. You heard me right. GMIS is a IB World School. It is an Indian IB World School. GMIS, Gandhi Memorial International School. So basically, after I was born in India, I only did my nursery and LKG here in India. But from my UKG until my second PUC, from my UKG until my second PUC, I studied in Indonesia. After that, for my diploma and degree, I went to Singapore, and there in Singapore, I lived there for 5.5 years. So basically, see, all my education was done abroad. My schooling was done in Jakarta, Indonesia, in GMIS, that is Gandhi Memorial International School, and my diploma and degree I did in Singapore, in this university of MDIS, which is Management Development Institute of Singapore. Okay, I repeat, Management Development Institute of Singapore. So my schooling I did in Jakarta, Indonesia, and my diploma and my degree I did in Singapore. And now here I am in India, because see, I could have easily worked abroad only, but the reason why I came to India, because see, I've got my own passion. Okay, I've got my own passion, I've got my own my own goals. So I'm working on that now. So therefore I came to India. So that's it, guys. So these are the comparison of these four countries which I gave you, and these are the four countries where I have visited so far. And in the future I'll be traveling to new countries, and as I told you, I'll be making vlogs in those countries as well. So till then, guys, take care. And yeah, one more thing, guys. See, if you ask me, okay, now let's include India as well. You see, if you compare India, Indonesia, Singapore, Malaysia and Thailand, to be very honest with you, I like the most Singapore. Okay, I like Singapore the most as compared to these five countries, including India. If you ask me, do I like Singapore more or India more, I will say I like Singapore more. But which country do I love? I love my country, India, more. See, when you compare these five countries, India, Indonesia, Singapore, Malaysia and Thailand, I like all these four countries more than India. But I love India. I like these countries more than India, but I love my country, India, more than these four countries and more than any other country in the world. Okay, see, there are lot of, see, there is a big difference between like and love. Like means like, it is just like, like, okay, just liking. But love means like, you have got that, attachment, you have got that, that, what do you say, you have got that patriotism within you. So when it comes to like and love, see, I like a lot of countries, I like a lot of, these developed countries. I like a lot of developed countries more than India. But in this entire world, if there is if there is any country which I love from my heart, it is India. India is my motherland, and I love India more than any other country in the world. Okay guys, thank you, take care, and I will see you soon with my next videos. Take care guys. Bharat Mata ki Jai. Jai Hind. Vande Mataram. Hindustan Zindabad. Mahavir Bhagwan ki Jai.